I hope really welcome you all for this interesting session on digitalization and how to use the new age technology. The speaker, we have specially called him, he's my very good friend, Yogesh Srivastav, and we studied together in engineering. Yogesh is staying in Canada and he's got up very, very early today. It's 4 in the morning there and to take up this session. So really, Yogesh, thank you so much for doing this today.
My pleasure, Prem.
I hope everybody can hear us and see us. If somebody can just raise their hand and check, if we are audible. Yeah, Suraj.
Yeah, you're audible, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Yogesh. Yeah, again, please start the session. I think people are really waiting to hear this.
Sure. So I guess let me share my screen now and I'll take you to the next steps. But good morning and good evening to everybody there in India. I'm here to share with you whatever I have learned over the last 30 years working in engineering and construction projects. After graduating from Mumbai University in instrumentation with Shyam, interestingly, we joined the college the same day, almost last few people to get admission into engineering instrumentation branch. But nevertheless, it was a great go. And since that we have had, Shyam has worked purely in instrumentation. I got the opportunity to also work in several different facets of engineering and construction projects. Majority of my experience has been with one of the top EPC firms in the world called Fluor Daniel, probably in India. So that basically last 14 years it was in Canada, but almost last 8 years or so, I've been leading this company called Technobelt as CEO, and also a co-chair of Construction Owner Association of Alberta, helping in what I would say is how can the province build better. So based on the mega projects and other EPC projects, basically, I'm here to share with you what can we do to build better. And please feel free to treat it like a discussion and bring in your points. I'll be anchoring largely on design engineering, procurement, construction, and handover when we talk about project delivery. So it's more on the capital facilities side. And at the same time, there is so much development in technology. So what can be utilized and how technology can help is going to be a main part of our discussion. As we all do any kind of meetings and topics, it's important to talk about a safety moment. And I would like to choose a safety moment, which is part of the work that Technobelt does. Besides offering some, say, expert consulting and a platform for project delivery, a key aspect of executing projects is safety. And we do and just not only as software, but we take a minute or a two-minute type of a window, and anybody can talk about safety actually. So of course, if anyone from the audience also wants to share any safety moment, that is fine. Just looking at Q&A. Are you all able to hear me, first of all, clearly? My audio is clear? Shyam, am I good to hear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes, Sudhaiv, somebody has raised a hand on safety, or Shankar Kirti raised a hand on safety.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to talk about safety? Okay, you know what, I will take it myself. Let me share what's the temperature out here today. I'm sitting here in minus 24 degrees centigrade outside. Okay. Yesterday was minus 31. Extreme cold warning. So skin freezes in minus 18. After minus 18, it takes around 1.5 minutes for skin to start freezing. Okay. But as you can see, I'm here, no sweater or anything, but just a t-shirt. So safety, what is important is in extreme temperatures such as what I am in currently, it's so important to do a proper workmanship. You can't do a jugaad. You can't do a kaam chalao activity. You have to have proper welding, proper connections, proper walls, proper piping, etc. So safety along with quality of workmanship is so important so that when it is needed, the system functions properly. Okay. There is no bursting of pipes. There's nothing which has happened. Everything still goes on. Okay. So I would say safety is an important aspect, and it also brings a point related to workmanship. That if you do things right first time, everybody can benefit so much more. It's also, for example, the parachute, the one who puts together for the pilot. If there is emergency, he doesn't have to check again whether it is all there properly done. So doing things right first time so that it functions properly is an important aspect of project delivery. So let's all, as people who are helping build the new India and your clients, wherever you are, let's follow safety and quality hand in hand, and let's make sure we do a good job right first time. Okay. That was the safety moment. So we are together for next 1 hour 20 minutes. I think there's quite a bit where I thought we can cover. So I'm going to take you in 3 parts of conversation here. Part 1 is introducing to you what Technobuilt is and how it is related to the topic. And we will cover some key aspects from engineering, supply chain, construction, field execution, commissioning, and startup. Just touch on those aspects of project delivery. And then we will talk about what have been the leading methods and technology aspects of it. And lastly, some data and digital side of things. Okay. So actually, I'm going to make use of this presentation, and I will also call up another presentation. So that this was basically presented at ADIPEC in November 15th. And it was about digitally enabled organizations leveraging new age technology, where I met Sham as well in Abu Dhabi. So just briefly introducing you what Technobuilt does. Our vision is to help the world build better with a mission to accelerate the future of built environment with the purpose of bringing speed, surety, and savings in project delivery. Okay. And to do that, we have built a platform called PACE OS 4.0, which helps in instantaneous visibility and granularity using what we call the heart of the element is a digital construction block. It's a block-based approach to execute projects. And so far, what you have seen in project execution and project management is largely you have an estimate or budget, which follows a cost breakdown. There is a work breakdown structure, and then there are thousands and thousands of activities. So you have an activity breakdown. And people try to manage projects by activities. And that's in P6 or Microsoft Project, or sometimes in Excel. And you have many activities. Level 3 schedule is usually what you use as a control point. And by the time you are actually doing the task within a week, that is at a level 4+ type of a schedule. But trying to run projects by activities has so far And the cost that was an estimate put together, 9 times out of 10 projects are still failing. So that's where we introduce the concept of a digital block, which includes activities, drawings, documents, materials, people who are involved as a block, and then you can execute the project in a much more seamless way. So that's what the system itself has, the portfolio focused around execution. So when we talk about digital tech later in the presentation, we will be looking at digital tech, which impacts advanced project execution, that is largely engineering and pre-construction planning, on-site construction, which is related to field execution and services. Then we do a good job to open the work front, but what about closing the work front? So quality completions and handover. Supporting the above processes is the intelligent supply chain and materials. And HSC, I already told you, is integral to execution. So when you're talking about project delivery, safety is an integral part. And along with all of that is a command and control tower that gives you the instantaneous visibility and granularity across the whole all the stages of the project. So when we can combine these aspects together on a digital platform, then the execution of the project can be handled in a much more seamless and transparent manner with full accountability from everyone. That's what the PACE OS was purpose-built. After having worked for some premium organizations and large projects, this was a necessity-driven platform that was put together for helping high-performance teams to do things better. Along with that, obviously, there has to, if you really want real-time information, you need to be able to connect the shop floor, the field to the home office or head office and get some instantaneous, say, updates. The mobility becomes an important part of it. So as a company, Technobuilt offers the platform for digital project delivery. We provide the productivity services with engineers who help in the enhancements of productivity and some expert consulting on some leading subject matter. One of that is advanced work packaging, lean, or integrated project delivery. These are some methods which are adopted by the industry. Our company has some subject matter experts in that. So we are people built on, we have people who have built this company based on our experience of having worked on real projects across the globe, including some people who have come from a different aspect, such as Abhishek from finance or Tanvi from GIS, but they add unique dimension to the overall delivery of projects. So when we talk about projects, you can do this across any industry, whether it is infrastructure, oil and gas, or others. I come from a heavy industry background, heavy industrial construction background, but the principles can be applied across many industries. So as a company, we are working with some international projects in Italy with Saipem or in Korea with Daewoo. But it's been quite an interesting experience we've had now with a few projects across the globe, including some recognition in some forums. In this year, we have been nominated in 3 categories altogether. So the results are awaited, but to be considered in 3 categories to be leading is an exciting thing too. So that was about company and its correlation to project delivery. But let's discuss briefly, why do we need an end-to-end project view? Okay. Well, important is projects have been difficult to execute as per plan and budget. 9 times out of 10 projects do fail. There are delays, cost overruns, material issues, lack of skill or people issues to scale and make the delivery successful. And a few basic reasons: an unclear scope, lack of visibility, and poor accountability, and the siloed way we look at between design delivery teams to the suppliers of commodities or services, or people who are doing construction, or people who are doing commissioning, or even the owner who is sponsored, whose project it is. There is a lot of fragmentation organizationally, contractually, and by the phases of the project. People don't care for the next activity down the line. So that full view isn't there. And McKinsey in their article talked about that this is something which will help the industry if we bring a holistic view. So conventional projects, this is what happens. There is an expected time of completion and a budget, etc. There are many issues that come in as red flags, either from supplier, material, site issues, quality issues, etc. They keep on adding to this whole schedule. Things get delayed, and by the time you get done, it's many more months than what was originally planned. And within the overall EPC projects, there's the owner company, where then they have engineering, which is doing the procurement and construction, etc. Very heavily engineering dependent, difficult to manage by activities and deliverables, one-way processes, and quite a few issues are there in terms of what goes on. And typically, it's just the 8% of total installed cost that gets spent in engineering. And it is driving 40% of the total installed cost, that's construction. And another 40% or so is in procurement and other things. So quite a lot of issues, many documents, many activities, etc., doesn't get handled very well. And as I told you, McKinsey talked about need for an end-to-end optimization, where we can look across the phases, such as engineering and construction, including taking things to operations, and along with that, safety and performance management going across the board. The expected, say, recommendations in the research presented was that clients should focus on the execution discipline and optimize the end-to-end project delivery journey with a holistic approach. And there is value to be gained by incremental gains, okay? And improve the process and decision-making throughout the life cycle. Accelerate execution, digitally enable transparency, for instance, visibility and granularity, become more agile, and bring transformation through transition rather than pain of disruption. And if some organizations can recall, a couple 15, 20 years ago, SAP and other type of efforts, JD Edwards and other things which people implemented, caused a lot of pain and a lot of disruption, and a lot of money was spent, and some organizations are still struggling implementing those kind of systems. So it's important that when you look at a transformation journey, companies such as TransGunization, which are part of this effort that has brought me to present this to you, I believe in entities like that to help in bringing transformation through transition rather than, and save you from the pain of disruption. So that is what has been recommended. And coming from capital projects, McKinsey's report was talking about different types of savings in 7 areas. And if you add all these up, you can basically gain more than 8 to close to 28% if you aggregate all of these on the lower side, and more if you look at the higher side. Okay, that is the cost savings that projects can get. So quite often we are told that the projects industry has almost 30 to 40% of wastage. And if these are the savings that you can gain, then certainly you can do much better. A $1 billion job should have been done in 600 to 700 million. Okay. So that was why to look at end-to-end project delivery. Let's now see what it really means. From an enterprise level, there may be multiple projects that are running, A, B, and C. Some could be big, some can be small. So if you are looking at end-to-end project delivery, you should have the ability to see it across many projects. Okay, so that's one important part of it, that you can see across projects in business units and functions. And within the projects itself, there are so many departments and functions, such as project management, engineering, supply chain, project controls, and others. You have to be able to navigate across those different departments and functions that are involved in delivery of a project. Okay. And they work at unit and area levels too. Okay. So when we talk about end-to-end delivery, let's look at the ramp-up phase, where you have a master document register. When you enter a contract, you come up with your deliverables and engineering gets started. You generate quantities and engineering deliverables. So that is one part of it. Then you start the supply chain management as your design starts forming. You look into pre-construction planning. You look at management of safety and constraints to get started, and get into site execution, where you're now actually doing the job. And as you're doing the job at site, so simultaneously, quality is involved, quantity surveys, and you're getting the work done. That is one part of, people may say this is project delivery. Well, this is not complete yet, right? It ties into commissioning, startup, and interface to operations. So our delivery finishes when you've started doing the mechanical completions. You do the pre-commissioning, commissioning, startup, and then you hand over the TCCC, which is turnover of care, custody, and control, to the owner. And these are important aspects. So when we say end-to-end project delivery, we are talking about taking till the green flag, okay, so that we can complete the cycle to this point. Of course, when you're looking at digital technology, there are many systems that contribute in making things happen. But how can you have the full view from where we started in engineering to come to this way is quite a challenge. And there isn't typically a unified platform that can bring you all the way here. Okay, and that's where the effort, if we begin with end in mind and organize our coding, organize our 3D modeling tools, or organize our deliverables, as well as bring our schedules in alignment to what we call a digital construction block-based delivery, I think we can do much better, okay, including a platform that can be utilized to have full visibility across systems and tools. So when we build the PACE platform, I'll come back to the product, I guess, but my whole purpose is to help you understand the project delivery through what we have built, okay? So please don't consider this that I'm talking all about PACE. I guess the experience of delivering projects from beginning to end, we have ported into the digital platform. That's why it's coming up. And it's an easy way to explain it to you. There basically is design, delivery, and the on-site construction and finishing things. So to do the design delivery, where do we start? We start with plot plan. We have a site in which we can see where we have to build, whether it is an existing facility or a brownfield job or a greenfield project, or a mix of both. That's fine. That's where we can leverage the GIS. So basically, Geographic Information Management System, GIS, basically gives us the ability to see visualize what we are going to build, where we are going to build. Okay. And thereafter we go into the visual work breakdown structure, which then can be reflected in a plot plan and others. And then we look into documents and deliverables, the engineering deliverable coming as a work package, pre-construction planning done as construction work pack, and the subcontractor level work done as installation work pack. And when this is finishing, then we call it as turnover commissioning pack. So these modules help in taking care of all the logical steps to turn over and commission something which you started to build from design to planning to actual execution and delivery. So that's the part of effort that's needed. But along with that, when the site activity starts, the crew that is working on it, the equipment, the services such as scaffolding, the site facilities in terms of trailers and everything else that you're doing, temporary roads, laydowns, etc., that needs to be managed. The daily progress, everybody gets it. But what are the hindrances and issues that are not making things go as per plan? How about that? And the site mobility and the geoplot manager all comes into play here. Now, it's just not systems and tools. It's people who are in various departments who work with each other. They need to be enabled and brought together, and they are the ones who need to collaborate, not the software, not the systems alone. So it's the project manager, the project controls manager, the site manager, site engineer, those people, how they can participate effectively with each other. That is an important aspect. Along with that, as I've always told you, at all levels, there is safety involved too. Whether at an area level, a job hazard assessment, or a field level hazard assessment, which is field level hazard assessment is an important aspect which I learned in Alberta, where it is required by law to conduct field level hazard assessment on a daily basis by the site supervisor, or when conditions change. And if there is something happens, the first place to go is to look for who did the FLHA and where the hazards identified. Did we take steps to mitigate them? Was it communicated to people who were going to do the work? That is an important part of a safety check. You do that toolbox talk informally many times, but this is a documented evidence of what was done that morning, okay? Or if conditions change. So very important to have the safety as part of your project delivery, because you cannot make money if you're hurting people or damaging property. Your productivity goes down, your morale goes down, and the damage and the interruptions and everybody else who goes to assist the worker who has got hurt, or the supervisor who has to take the blame, and the manager who has to investigate, a lot of time gets wasted. Okay, so paying attention to safety, not only zero. So here what we do as TechnoBuild, we have now changed the paradigm. So far, everybody says goal zero. Zero means zero hurt, zero injuries, zero fatalities, zero incidents. That doesn't mean you are necessarily in a safe and thriving workplace. What we talk about is a goal plus one. It is a proactive approach to make a goal so that it is a safe, plus you are looking after the mental and social well-being of the worker as well. Important, if you want to Google the stats, people die, around 800 people or so died because of construction work related fatalities. And around 4,200 people died in construction industry because of suicide. People work in remote environments. People work across so many other difficulties. People just have not been feeling well, or they have had difficulties in their lives, or whatever it is. but it is 5 times more fatal than the safety itself. So the mental and social well-being of your workforce is an important part as we go on to build the projects in the future. And sustainable development is a key matter in project delivery. And why only North America? Why not in India, Korea, Middle East? Half of the Middle East is built by Indian hands, or if not more. All our workers, the construction team, if you look at Burj Khalifa or the Qatar Stadium, I bet you 60 to 70% of hands were people from our country. So whatever you learn or whatever you do, let's make sure that when we talk about project delivery, I am emphasizing that we don't ignore the mental, social, and physical well-being of people in this industry. Okay. Along with that comes the digital control tower for visibility across the board. Just from a tech point of view, what is the look and feel of some systems like what I'm describing, what we built? You are seeing some screenshots, whether it is the GIS in the center, where you can visualize what you're going to build superimposed with your layout, etc., and get a real-time views of heat map showing what's going on. You can utilize GIS technology very effectively for that. Then you have people who are providing inputs, people at site who are doing actual work, such as Paul, who's doing what with pictures and what happened when. All this is possible now with technology, and the activities that you had put together, start to finish, finish to start, or whatever the Gantt views, etc. And the 3D model in terms of what's being built, you can visualize all that in one platform. That is part of what technology can do. And in terms of now looking at experiencing end-to-end project delivery, what all gets involved in each aspect, let me just blow up a little bit and take you into the digital journey as to what all happens here. So when we talk about engineering aspect, you need, these are the modules, or these are the kind of things you will need when you're talking about digitally enabled project delivery. You need, usually people start with a document management system. So fine, that is where it is. But along with that is the vendor data or supplier data management that gets poorly handled. So we need to pay attention to that, because a lot of revisions, changes, or holds in design delivery in our experience comes from vendor data is missing, vendor data came late, or vendor data is not available, etc. Those kind of things do that. But of course, you have the planning done. So let's bring that here. The model is being utilized largely in 3D if you are using 3D. But ultimately, there is engineering deliverables and quantities, or the MTO, coming from engineering. Along with that is the GeoPlot manager, giving you visibility to what you're building for what area. So these are the modules in our PACE OS for the engineering side. But consider any aspect. Design delivery requires these type of things to be, these major things to be considered and brought together. Of course, there are benefits, etc., to utilize that, but I'll skip that. Just to give you.
Yogesh, should we ask if anybody has a question till here?
Yeah, let's ask here. Let's pause briefly because I'm going on alone. Anybody has any questions so far on what I've covered?
You can raise your hands if you have any question.
Yeah, and if I can request the moderator to allow people to speak if they have raised a hand.
Yeah.
Anybody? Don't make it good. Some interactivity will help me stay awake with you.
I think Shankar has raised his hand. Shankar, do you have any questions? You'll have to unmute. Shankar Kirti. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I think there's one question from.
Is there any course on advanced project engineering? Yeah, actually interesting. You asked this question. We have introduced in a few parts of the world. We have collaborated with the university. In India, we are collaborating with RICS School of Built Environment. It's based in Mumbai and Delhi. And we offer some courses in this for advanced project engineering. And also, we have a partnership here with the University of Alberta, an MOU where we are providing that. Similarly, in Egypt, the American University in Cairo is offering the same thing. But it is a full set. It's just not specific to advanced project engineering. It includes the rest of it as well. That includes basically the execution and the delivery part of it. Okay.
He's asking to please text. Is there any course on advanced project engineering?
Yeah, I will provide information following the session. Please do connect and I will be able to give you some information on that. And there is something being put together as an online course as well. So you can do this online to understand advanced project engineering. Okay. Just to support what I was saying, advanced project engineering as an example of what we are supporting. This is a $8 billion EPC project where, as you can see, it's Nigeria LNG. Shell is the client, and it's a joint venture between world's top 10 EPC firm called Saipem, along with Daewoo. And they are utilizing the digital platform to do this project, which is another train 7, where there is a complete train unit, a liquefaction unit, a flare area, tie into existing facility, and a new jetty on the left that is being built together. And they are utilizing the platform to put it together in a much more efficient way. And the project appears and with the work breakdown structure, with all the details to be executed here. Okay. So just giving you some information on that. And Saipem themselves are saying that this approach has helped them even during the COVID situation, where their team is in Italy, in Chennai, in Korea, and Nigeria, and they are able to collaborate much better in terms of what they have to produce as an engineering company. Okay. And as you can see, the disruption of the business as usual process has been minimal, and very less resistance from people adopting to deliver it in an integrated and digital manner. Okay. Then let me talk about, after engineering comes, along with engineering is the procurement part of it, where it was interesting that we had to approach this again. But the main reason being, we found that from the MTO, which is usually in an Excel spreadsheet, to requisitioning system, which is again somewhat depending on whether it is pipe, steel, electrical commodities. Every department has their own way of requisitioning. Then comes the purchasing, which is standard, done in SAP, for example, or Oracle or JD Edwards. So purchase order or the request for purchase, the bidding, the bid tab, placing the purchase order, etc., is all done in SAP. And then there is a portion which is about receiving the materials in the warehouse and at site, and then the withdrawal of material, giving it to contractors, etc. 4 or 5 different systems coexist in one organization. Ultimately, it is so difficult to know where exactly, what's the position of my material. Is it being sent? Has it arrived? Who was it given to? There is a lot of confusion despite being one company. So we came up with the ISCM to pull information from all aspects, because when you are talking about projects, especially in countries such as Nigeria, loss of material, and that is intentional and otherwise, is also becoming a big issue. So having visibility to not only your drawings and documents, but what's happening to material is an important aspect, despite having SAP and other type of products being utilized. Okay, so that's where we looked at providing an integrated view, right from when you generated the quantity information from engineering, all the way to who was given the material to install. And in between, we do what we call the soft allocation and hard allocation of materials to specific activities. Okay, so if there is a purchase order which has got 100 control valves coming, out of that 20 will be used where, another 30 used where, etc. All that is pre-allocated and it is consumed in a way that is known early which contractor will use what set when. Okay, very important to focus on supply chain and materials. Prior to this project, almost 10 years ago, I was part of the Sturgeon refinery job, which was also another $8.3 billion project, building a full refinery, beginning from basically taking Alberta crude, which usually doesn't get as an end product. It gets a mid-grade product, and then it goes to refinery. This refinery takes the full end-to-end approach where the Alberta crude is taken, refined, and further processed to give you end product of naphtha, diesel, ultra low sulfur diesel, etc. So in that, one of the issues was a lot of effort was done in planning, documents, engineering, etc. But materials did not get done very well. And that caused quite a bit of a loss. From procurement, the other part then comes related to construction management. Now here, pre-construction planning, usually engineering drawings are made and they are given to site, people start construction. There is very less effort done in pre-construction planning. And this is where things go wrong. If you haven't given some effort to pre-construction planning, guess what happens? You have thousands of people at site and equipment and machinery mobilized. So the high momentum of man, materials, and machinery is there. But then you basically start the job, run into a roadblock. Now you're waiting because something is still missing, or the drawing is incorrect, or something has gone wrong with the material that was applied, or material is missing. So you do what? Basically, end of the day, construction then starts defaulting to whatever material is available, let's use it and build something, because the labor is already there. Machines are already mobilized. Let's do something. It runs largely in a reactive mode of whatever is there, let's take care of it. And let's get the productivity still on the graph, but ultimately, we are not building what was the plan anymore. So after 2 months into the construction project, we are basically, there was a plan, but that plan was something else. This is the reality. There is a big disconnect now. And that's how the whole project keeps going. Ultimately, we end up paying a lot more in project delivery. So this step of pre-construction planning, along with the workfront builder, is an important piece in the puzzle of project delivery. Okay. Another testimonial where we are putting this discipline with Daewoo. They are doing a mega project. And when I say mega project, multi-billion-dollar jobs cannot be done in a haphazard way without the company really losing a lot of money. And here we are supporting them significantly by driving their discipline. As you can see, this was dated September 29, 2019. So more than a year ago, okay? But it's the project is just going into detail, full construction in 2 months' time. But everything has been lined up to get the execution done seamlessly. One important black box in project delivery is in large projects we go into construction, but there is an intermediate step called fabrication. These are works that are done off-site where the raw pipe has arrived or the raw steel has arrived, and you do some fabrication activity of building the pipe spools or the steel structure painting, fireproofing, etc., all done here in the fabrication shop. There is a very little visibility to how fabrication shops do their jobs and what priorities they are doing and are they supporting the construction activity. Because quite often they're blindsided and they manufacture pipe spools based on what is optimal for their CNC machines. So if they have set 24-inch diameter pipe cutting and welding and all that processes, they would like to run as much 24 inch as possible, even though it is not required probably for the next 6 months. But if you don't bring that into equation, fabrication again can be an important bottleneck that may make things and send to site which are not required at the priority that you are going to execute. So there is an important aspect of considering what fabrication is doing, okay? And tracking what spool, what was welded, where did you do the NDT, what was released for painting, etc. Having visibility inside your fabrication process, whether it is being done by your own company or another party is doing. The ability to visualize that is an important part in project delivery. Of course, when you're now at site, the contractors, subcontractors, you will have somebody providing scaffolding service, somebody providing concrete, somebody aggregate, someone providing rebars and other things, which are all getting into construction along with the equipment. These all things get lumped into what is called the indirect costs, because nobody knows who used how much aggregate for what purpose, or where was this scaffolding installed and who was using it. They are called indirects because it is very hard to put into an actual direct cost bucket. But with power of technology, you can manage this better. Typically, indirect costs are now on a rise, even in India, especially as more and more safety-related regulations are kicking in. The proper scaffolding, proper management of proper supervision, proper management of your site is becoming more and more important. And you cannot be blindsided to how your services are all done. It should not always be in a reactionary mode. There can be some planning done, and that's an important part of it. And you have to manage the cost here as well, because that is eroding your profit otherwise. So managing the contractor and services is an important part. And what work will be done and who's doing what, etc., which work package, etc. Those can all be managed in 3D as well efficiently. And I'm just giving you a view from the digital platform, but this is how it can be managed. Okay. Just pausing here briefly and doing a time check. Are you all coming along so far so good? Am I covering things in a way that you are getting a picture of end-to-end project delivery? Can anybody raise a hand and confirm? Yeah. And if I am able to give you some idea, please text or say something.
Yeah.
So we have another 40 minutes to finish.
Yeah, Mr. Bablu.
So Bablu Biswas is muted.
You can unmute if you want to talk.
Okay, I'll assume that I'm going on the right track and that people are still here. So gives me a feeling that, yeah, let's continue. Okay. So as we are talking about project delivery, let's look at some more aspect, quality, completions, and handover, which I explained. This is where getting things done right first time is such an important part. I told you there is no room to make mistakes, especially when it is a temperature such as -10, -15, -20, and a construction worker is outside doing the job, he has to go with full preparation. And if he does a poor job, the cost of replacing things is very, very high. So the gas line coming to my house, the water that is coming to my house, the power that's coming, each of that, I'm taking house as an example, but there are plants, there are buildings, there are infrastructure things. Nothing has stopped. Why? Because I've learned in this province that there is a lot of effort put in to do things properly, high quality first time. So we, especially as a nation and me as an Indian origin person, really is urging all of you, the 31 odd people here, that we have to take up our quality game way higher, better than what is being done in the neighboring areas and other countries. There is a positive reputation about people wanting to do business with India in India. But places where Exxon and Shell and other companies shy away from, what I've heard as feedback, is two things: poor quality and lack of attention to detail. And third thing is poor safety. If we can just up our game in these three matters, I think there is no reason why India couldn't make for the world. And what the Prime Minister calls for, that can be realized. Okay. So I would say that as professionals at various stages of your career, one important aspect is India can provide so much to the world. We have the people, the manpower, and construction still is going to require people. It cannot be replaced as soon. Maybe other industries still can use AI, machine learning, and so many more things, but construction will still need people, and AI machine learning can help in decision making. But so there is an important part for us to do things right first time. Okay, so these modules of digitally tracking action, integrating it with time and resource tracking, and a proper closeout and handover management, so that there are no surprises in the end. Okay. If there is a quality issue, who will know that there is a quality issue? The guy who performed the job. Okay. The person who has done the job is the first person who may know that, you know what, when I was welding in this area, there could have been an issue. The best person, just like in Toyota production system, in Toyota, anybody can stop the assembly line if there is a quality issue. Okay. Why don't we bring a similar principle of not stopping the assembly line, but let anyone be able to raise that if there is a quality issue, raise your hand, okay? Or a safety issue, stop the work. So construction has said in North America, everybody is empowered to stop the work if it is unsafe or something is going to be potentially causing some harm, okay? Same for quality can be done. So that's important here. And I've already explained to you about safety. Safety comes, usually people have three aspects of safety. One is the safety management in terms of what are the policies, procedures, and ways to do things, etc. The management assessments of making sure people do the assessment as a worker, supervisor, or a safety professional. And then compliance, which is related to audits. But what gets missed is the engagement of people, which includes not only the safety people, but also everybody. Each one of us is responsible for safety. So that attitude that safety is everyone's responsibility, that needs to be that effective engagement and the ability to actually participate in improving safety is an important aspect. So we provide on the ExxonMobil job, it's a $10 billion job in Louisiana and Houston, in Baytown, Texas. They are using our platform between Zachary, McDermott, and Exxon to manage safety using the power of AI and machine learning to predict based on previous incidents or near misses, that if we don't do something about this aspect, something serious can happen. Okay, so very important to bring this together. And interestingly, I take pride to share with you, NTPC, one of the largest power companies in India, has also come on board on PACE HSC to take +1 approach to go beyond the goal zero. And we are already implementing this on the Singrauli power plant. Okay. So, of course, there are leading indicators and lagging indicators. Lagging means obviously when things have already happened, then what are we doing? But leading indicators are all related to mitigating things before they happen. And what all have we done to make sure that things don't go wrong? That is all part of the digital side of it. Spoke to you about how mobility is important, how we can use power of smartphones, tablets, and devices, whether it is work related, what did you do, when did you do this, etc., with pictures and evidence and location. And on safety, our module for iCare, the PACE iCare module, is all about if there is an unsafe act, unsafe condition, or a good behavior. This all gets recorded and people are participating digitally in this. Okay. Now comes, if you're doing end-to-end project delivery, it's important to visualize how things are going on. Okay. And that's where the digital control tower comes into play, where you get live status across different stages of your project, the visibility and granularity, and take decisions in terms of if this engineering work package is getting delayed because approvals are not coming from the client or the regulatory authority, or the vendor data is missing, or at site there are issues happening because this machine isn't performing, or people are not showing up, or too much delays, etc. All that needs to be in front of you while things are happening, not a report a week later, because that's too late. It's very hard to mitigate that. So getting the executive level dashboard at a director's level, site managers level, or engineers level, giving them the right information to the right people so that they can take the right decision at the right time. Decision making is an important part of getting data. Otherwise, it is a waste. Everybody talks about data as the new oil. I introduced this in the EDIPEC conference. If we don't give context to data and timeliness to data, data can also be the new waste. Because data confuses people. You give them so much information that people start ignoring things. And it basically desensitizes people. And a lot of data, basically, if you are not presenting it in an actionable small chunk, it cannot be consumed. Okay, so giving the whole encyclopedia to you is almost as giving us no information. Okay, so very important. And all the work that we do linearly also hides a lot of potential problem from the stages, which is one after another. So very important to be able to see across the stages. Because right now, take a left turn, right turn, left turn, right turn, like that, you do not know what is the impact to the downstream processor. So the ability to visualize what will happen down in commissioning. If I'm leaving this activity open, it will slow down my commissioning activity or whatever. Those kind of things is very important to see from one window that can impact your project delivery. Okay, and it is possible because now digital technology can enable that. Just a concept diagram of the control tower in a practical sense. You could this could be your real-time project controls and command and control center, where we are talking about if you have multiple projects, it can be used as a multi-purpose training as well as project execution facility. Okay. And you are getting information from the plot plan, from your layouts, from your 3D model, from the mobile devices, from IoT, and you're getting all the metrics of KPIs and dashboard in one spot. And that is an important part of what we do as Technobelt, providing a digital control tower. Okay. And it goes across what's going on in engineering, what's happening in planning, what is done in site, what is done as handover, where we need more information, what's slowed down, what is hold, approved, rejected, all that is, you can drill down and find out who is working on what, right? And at an enterprise level also, you can see things, etc. So this kind of brings me to part 2 of our conversation, which will be fairly quick. I'll try to take you fairly quickly, but please ask questions as we go along. So we've now covered holistically the journey from engineering, supply chain, fabrication, construction planning, on-site execution, quality and safety, and the overall control tower. So that in some way brings us to part 2 of getting some deeper insights into some aspects of better methods and what all digital tech can be utilized. Anybody wants to stop here and discuss a few things, or should I continue? So if
Anybody has a question, you can raise their hand.
okay, let's keep moving. Then we will, in the end, then we'll try to have a few questions, okay? So considering that we have 25 minutes, I'll try to finish in 15 minutes now. In terms of if you really want to break through, I put together 7 commandments for successful project delivery. Of course, the first one is we need the end-to-end digital project delivery approach, keeping the end in mind. But why? To de-risk execution. Okay. And I'm not going to elaborate more today, but at another opportunity, please feel free to discuss more in terms of what is risk management. Because many people have risk management, risk register, etc. But when we talk about de-risking execution, what does it mean? We can discuss that. Second is to containerize construction projects so that you can simplify, standardize, and anyone can participate in project delivery. Usually we end up with a team phenomena. Oh, give me the best person who worked on that project with me before. I want that guy in my project. We are so people dependent. But if we put a strong framework, then and containerize the scope in a better way, we have all the intelligence to standardize and people can upskill themselves. So third is related to the structure in terms of coding, in terms of numbering, in terms of organizing information and the workflows. I was so happy to see some work that was done by Transgonization in terms of what they were reviewing of not only the manufacturing side of the control valves, but they included the process of basically customer acquisition, the customer relationship management side of it. And on the other hand, they also included the process of when it is being deployed, what are the aspects to be taken care of. You have to have an organized approach and work in a way that the processes and systems are well put together. And in every stage, look for leakages such as rework, such as wastage, such as interruptions. All these things have to be managed and plug in all the gaps. So drive capital efficiency and cost effectiveness in every stage, okay? Problems are there, but the sooner I know what are the problems, then we can do something about it. So every time, most management systems are geared to tell you what is the status, what was done. Most management systems fail to tell you what was not done, why things did not start for whatsoever supposed to start, and the reasons. And by the time you get to know, it is 3 weeks late. Okay. That is very important. So the organizations that can bring the problems to surface sooner than their competitors are the ones who can do better. They have the opportunity to do better. Okay. And there comes sixth commandment is augment the human intelligence. So if you provide information in a structured manner into a framework of an execution plan, it doesn't require rocket science to go and do research. Even rockets are now easier, I guess. But all it requires is some systematic logical thinking to make sure we do the right thing. Okay. And last is to have a control tower in terms of if you took a decision, what happened to the decision? Was it implemented? What was the correction applied in the process? And make sure it's about getting information to decision makers through shortest route, not processing it in 5 different steps, getting information accurately quicker, and taking decisions and sending it back to the field is important. Okay. I'll skip this. There are methods in Toyota production system, which we have incorporated, and advanced work packaging, which is a method from Alberta, which I am one of the co-authors and recognized globally for AWP. Those are some things which are put in the platform, but ultimately we are looking at industrializing project delivery from an execution perspective. And there was a small slide I thought I will share before introducing new age technology, which I'll do currently, as I told you. And this is based on the presentation we did at a high level just a month ago in Abu Dhabi. Let me call that up for you. So just give me a moment. Just please. So last month we presented a high-level session on leveraging new age technology. Here we talked about, is data the new gold or is it the new waste? And we talked about data having value if it is available at the right time to the right people, and trusting the data is important and in a timely manner. As you know, the theory, some of you might have read about it, it is called DIKW framework, where data, when it goes into right context, becomes information, gets into transmission of information into instructions as knowledge, and you have wisdom. This is what is known to people. What we also introduce is good. Wisdom is great, knowledge with personal judgment. But unless we can go back to where the data originated, in terms of, especially in the construction industry, wisdom is not good enough because my project will still suffer. So we talked about what we call PACE, the intelligent funnel pace of using data to make informed decisions, proactive decisions, timely actions, bringing a change in the course and engaging from the people or the machine or the service provider to make sure from where the data originated is corrected, okay? And in doing this, time is the key. You have to be able to do this faster than what anybody else could do. So if the data comes that on Tuesday, there is a problem situation at the front line, by the time it gets communicated and caught in the current management systems on a Friday and reported in from management meeting on Monday, 1 week has passed. And if there is a decision that was required from a leadership perspective, it doesn't get there in their attention to the third week. And if they take a decision, by the time it gets implemented, you've lost 3 weeks. This is how projects go out of control. 9 times out of 10, this is what happens. So when we talked about data, we need data instantaneously so that we can, if Tuesday there's a problem, by Wednesday or Thursday, we correct the situation so that the progress for that week is maintained, or I can run an overtime on, or run a night shift, or run the Saturday, Sunday and catch up before I lose, because week 2, when it comes, I still have work to do. Okay, so very important to connect decision makers and make use of data on a continual basis for the 2 years or 1 year, or depending on the usage of your project, duration of a project. And that's also not only delays. If I have an opportunity that Thursday I finish something early, I have opportunity to take care of certain things. So we plan for risks, but do you have an opportunity register? And are you doing anything? Do people know where are the opportunities to get better than normal performance? That is important too. And construction projects use technology, especially the projects that I come from, have been using almost all of these. And by the way, these technologies now have been around for more than 40 years. And lately, you have been probably hearing a lot about BIM and other things in 2010 and onwards. Still, projects continue to suffer. And then everybody says, go for digital. Well, all these blue dots are digital solutions. But if you do digital spot by spot, this does what? The problem is the gray behind the blue dots. It's still not useful. It is inefficient, and people store information where? In Excel. So it goes in spreadsheets, and the real information still is missing despite making digital efforts. And ultimately, this is where people between design team, contractor, vendors end up mismanaging things. Okay. So we are looking at utilizing what I introduced earlier, the digital construction block, where people, instead of talking about a data lake, where I only needed only a bucket of water and I need to fill the lake before I can get the water, the data lake approach is also not helping the industry. So the more important way of doing this is probably to contextualize the data in data buckets or data blocks. And this also leads to the future of project delivery, which is applying blockchain to EPC projects, which we are pioneering in our industry. Okay. So the end-to-end integration, whether it is the planning, estimate, documents, design, model, materials, etc., these are all like pre-existing systems. But if we can put a platform that can work across all of this, an overlay, and help you extract that and bring a control tower in picture, now you have end-to-end connectivity and visibility. Okay, so there are many things in data, and the new age technology, especially AI machine learning, can now be applied effectively. GIS I have already explained, but even the drones or IoT devices or RFIDs or blockchain and the digital twin, they all come together and can be realized in a much more practical way through what I'm sharing with you. So everybody talks about Industrial Revolution 4.0. In case of construction projects, these are some important elements that can be effectively utilized, including contracts and claims management. Okay, and taking it to digital bidding, visualizing the estimate, and real-time cost management. Okay. We all know that the COVID situation, I can't even say post-COVID with the Omicron right now, maybe we are still in there, but digital is the new normal. So people who have never thought about project delivery from an end-to-end perspective have to consider that as a serious matter. And when I talked about the GIS, the plot plan, the satellite views, the actual layout, the work breakdown structure, and the ability to see and visualize in real time what's going on in each area, whether it is material delivery, engineering development, or site activity, All that can be done here, including safety. And when people talk about digital twin, which some of you will come across today, as the discussion goes on digital twin, it is largely asset-based. It's a 3D model or a 3D contour through drone or a point cloud data that is a representation of a real plant. But what is missing in the digital twin, which is asset-based, how you built the asset, how much time you took to do that, okay? That is very important of digital twin. So here, besides 3D is the materials, the scope, what were the changes, what was the time put in, what was the safety, etc. All is part of that. So with that much, I would say that those are important aspects of what we do in project delivery. I think I've covered more or less all the major points. I had some extra slides if time would permit and if you wanted more questions. But let's say that as we conclude here, it is important that projects, when we are talking about projects, and we talked about digital twin of execution. Sorry, where am I? Just 1 second. Mindlessly going digital will not give us the results. And I'm quoting McKinsey again. Dozens of attempts to just do digital such as 5D BIM have not actually delivered. So it's important that you realize that. And as we go in this journey, if we are not doing it effectively, again, we will end up with data being hidden in various systems. And there is all this 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, all this will come into play. I can talk to you in later point of time as to how all this multi-dimensional world is evolving, but it's really important to make some sense out of it, okay, as to how we do this properly. So important is to see things being done and these data that is being put in various sheets and all over the place is hidden and put into, not hidden anymore, and put into a construction block where it is exposed properly and can be utilized properly. And when we talk about the digital twin of execution, digital twins, it is important that the digital twin is, when you're building a project, it is about execution, not just the asset. So the consideration on the digital twin is the missing piece of how did you build that asset? That is important for project delivery. And transformation by transition is an important part without disruption. So I would again re-emphasize, invest or engage companies that have taken this journey or who help in this journey to do things better, and Transconization being one of them. But ultimately, if you don't change, this is where we will end up. You'll always have an estimate and a plan, but by the time you get done, this is where you end up, if not more. But when you apply advanced methods and techniques, you can certainly reduce the time to finish a project and get done in lesser cost. That's important. And as we conclude, all aspects of what we discussed, safety, managing the activities and people, they are the core and momentum producing asset. They build projects. You need a platform to do that. You have to manage the scope and flow and maintain an operational discipline. That's what it is. I want to stop here, and we have 7-8 minutes. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to talk to you. So in the questions, I see Gajendra asking if I can share slides in PDF. Certainly, but please email me, yogesh@technobuild.com. That is what it is. I'll be happy to put across. And please identify yourself also, which organization you are from, so that I know These are all forward-looking technologies and cutting-edge work that we do at Technobuild. So definitely want people to be cognizant, and what I shared today is for the audience of RK, RK control and instrumentation. So we'll be happy to share this more. Here is my email, yogesh@technobuild.com. Any other question? Can you open up the microphone for everybody? Shyam, I don't hear you.
Let me try.
Did I meet what was in when you read the topic of end-to-end digital project delivery? I hope you all are able to relate to what all I covered, because it's important to get a feedback.
Yeah, I think you'll have to raise your hand if you want to speak so we can unmute you.
Okay. So
I think there are no questions.
let's say that everybody understood all what I shared. And certainly if there is anything in future you want to discuss based on what I covered today, please don't hesitate to bring it up, and I'll be happy to come back again.
Yeah, please do send email or any queries if you have, or any feedback if you have. We'll be happy to answer.
All right. So I'll stay around for a few more minutes. Shyam, in your own view, what we covered quite a bit of topics.
Yes, it was very, very interesting. And I think the key to project execution is that, the success for project execution is the siloed information which normally is there in the projects. All come up to one platform so that we have the visibility of the total project at the time. And information on hand, on your fingertips.
Everybody compares construction projects and says, oh, manufacturing is doing so good. Look at retail, say automotive industry, they're doing so good. Their productivity is so high. Construction is so poor, without realizing that when automotive industry went to improve their, say, manufacturing, they overhauled the whole process, including their vendors and suppliers. Whoever is providing ball bearing, that was also part of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
It was not just my plant. It was all the things
the
around
whole
my
ecosystem.
plant.
Right.
Yeah, the whole ecosystem was upgraded. And now they do fantastic job. That's why Japan did what they did. Okay.
Yeah.
Similarly, our industry, especially, it is more contextual to India, is because we do build a lot of things, even for our own country and in neighboring countries and overseas.
Yeah.
So we can do a lot in this world. So what Infosys did 30 years ago in software development, I believe the power of digital technology can do similar effect in the construction domain. You can build anywhere in the world, but digital can give you visibility and insights to what was done today, even though you are on the other side of the planet. And you can run analysis, you can provide recommendations so that next day morning, when the site opens, you have the intelligence to do and take care of things.
Yeah. Not only construction, I think this can be applicable to any industry, manufacturing industry.
Right, because now you are, whether it is your shop floor, where you are running, assembling things, or it's almost like the fab shop. In some ways, I see that, okay, there is a raw material that has arrived, you have to weld it, assemble it, test it, paint it, etc., and release it to people. Same, visibility on the shop floor to the top floor is important.
Right.
Elements of workflow automation and planning and safety are applicable in manufacturing too.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be working with you on that.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, everybody. I think our time is up. I truly appreciate all who have stayed and gone through this. Please share your feedback, connect on LinkedIn. If you like it, I'll be happy. Just reference to this meeting. And you can find me on LinkedIn as well. And I look forward to many more good things together with your team, Shyam, and
Thank you.
group that has come in Gyan Jyoti.
Yeah, thank you, Yogesh, and thank you everyone for participating. And once again, Yogesh, thank you for getting up so early in the morning and doing the session for us, sitting in Canada.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
Apurvi, thank you for organizing this and transcanization.
Thank you so much. That's my pleasure.
Take care. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.